And this is probably a good takeaway for anyone listening who is interested in starting a gym or building your own classes or whatever. If you're on the coaching side, rule number one with everything was you're gonna have fun today. This is gonna be a fun workout for you. Number two, you're gonna get a great workout, and number three, you're gonna learn something along the way.
Welcome to the Built for Growth podcast. My guest today is Glenn Holmes, who is the co-founder and creative director of Boxing Fitness Academy and founding coach at award-winning Box and Burn Gym, which I wish I had a chance to check this out before, and go and visit. But you're also a thought leader, and I think that's something that I really like beyond all of the boxing, is just how you have moved through and evolved even through COVID and your business ideas and coming up with something that no one else has really done before. So I guess we could kind of kick it off there, how you transitioned into boxing and teaching and creating courses and certifications and moved through COVID and all that stuff.
Yeah, totally. So the start of it all was the Box and Burn Gym in Los Angeles, California. So that's kind of where it all kicked off, which was around 2011. And it was super organic and just three dudes who were super passionate about boxing, fitness. One was an Olympic boxer, one was a strength and conditioning coach, and then there was me. I was just passionate, and that's kind of all I really had was just a bit of amateur boxing experience, hardly any coaching experience, and just knew that this is what I wanted to do in some capacity, but I never really thought of it as a career. So couple of nights a week in Santa Monica, California at the beach, we just put on these boot camp classes at the beach. And we were doing pad work, jump rope, medicine balls, dumbbell, cross training. And at that time, boxing fitness as a fitness modality wasn't kind of where it is now. It was either kind of goofy soccer mom box to the beat stuff, or it was fight gyms, dudes spitting in buckets, right? So we kind of bridged that gap a little bit. We brought authentic boxing into a fitness setting, and people just loved it. And week in, week out, more and more people were coming, and it got to be a bit of a problem where we were there's too many people here. What are we going to do? And at that time, I was competitive distance running. I was trying to compete in amateur boxing. Those were my two main things. And I was working part-time in the running industry, doing marathon events and working at a local running store. So not really kind of doing much, really, just doing what I love doing. But with that, is the pressure of what am I going to do for a career? I'm doing what I like to do here, but
How old were you at the time?
I was maybe 28, 29.
Okay.
Getting up towards 30.
It's a good age to start making a decision in the direction you want to go, right?
Totally. And I came off a 4-year job because I moved out here from England, which we can touch on my background, but I came out to LA from England and I was working in the music industry doing a marketing job, just office 9 to 5, which I hated, right? Commuting, sitting on a laptop all day. I was just this is not for me. So I got out of that and then I was doing this stuff. But yeah, there's that kind of pressure and stress at the same time. What am I going to do for a career? This isn't sustainable. But the classes were getting busier. More and more people would come in. We were clearly onto something and we knew what we wanted to do, which was eventually open a gym with it. So I was fortunate enough to be there from day one. So the two guys I was doing it with, they were the co-owners of the gym. They put their money in and leased the building. And they were we'll have you as the head coach and you can help us build this thing. And I was this is a dream come true, right? I'm finally going to be in fitness. I'm going to be doing something with boxing. Here's kind of my opportunity. So to kind of kick it off, that's where it all started. And we just had an empty warehouse in Santa Monica, California. And we started doing the classes. We had hardly any equipment. And then we just built it up week by week, month by month. And then within 3 years, we had a second location in Brentwood, California, which was more a kind of affluent neighborhood, and a much bigger second gym with a lot more facilities, a whole strength and conditioning room and a mini track and turf. And yeah, so it exploded really quick. And the next thing I can it's kind of a blur, but we went from just the three of us to a full team of trainers and front desk staff and 2 gyms and celebrities coming through the door, fighters coming through the door, professional athletes, packed classes with waitlist every night of the week. It was a real machine. And it just stemmed from my passion to put on the best possible class and create the biggest community. And I think we did that pretty well back in the day. So that's kind of where started. Yeah.
How important do you think the community aspect is to success in fitness? Because I know a lot of people who they want to work out or they want to lose weight or whatever. They want to get healthier, but they struggle with being consistent. And I personally find when you have a community or at least a buddy that you enjoy, going to work out with and kind of laughing at each other as you get burned through a workout or, know, that kind of camaraderie is important. Do you find that in those gym settings?
Absolutely. It was everything. That was like probably the number one thing was we were dead set on building community. So people would show up 30 minutes before class time to kind of hang and chat and just be there. They just wanted to be there. It was like the cool place to be. And we had space where people could just hang out, sit on the edge of the ring, chat with their friends, catch up after work, whatever. And then the same thing after the classes. The classes would get done and people just wanted to hang around. Like, can I do a video with you on the mitts? Can I do this? And like, hey, asking about technique or like fitness journeys and stuff. We were just like super approachable and easy. And I saw people go from coming in on their own, looking around, like kind of, what am I doing? To like getting into relationships with people and people getting married out of that gym. And like, it just changed
really
lives.
happened?
Yeah,
Wow.
totally. It was a really powerful community, like really powerful. And some of the things that we put into place to make that happen were very intentional, and other things were just organic. There was a lot of community events, like we did like Alzheimer's classes once a year, like block parties. If there was fights on, we'd invite members round, like to have fight nights. Like, yeah, just really strong community. That was a huge part of it. And then obviously having the quality of the training and the instruction and the formats and all that kind of stuff behind it, that just bolsters the building blocks, and then the community is definitely number one, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely want to get more into that, but I want to change gears a little bit, and I want to talk about where you grew up and where you come from. I know we had lunch just prior to this, and you were telling me that you came from a place where, like, basically Michael Bisping is. Do you guys know each other?
No, we've never met. I don't know him. I'd love to. He's a great dude. I'm a huge fan of him. But yeah, I grew up in the same town pretty much. I went to this. I'm from a town called Blackburn, which is right next to Clitheroe. It's kind of a suburb of Blackburn, and I went to the school in Clitheroe, and he went to a different school in Clitheroe. So, like 2-minute drive down the street. Like schools right next to each other. But I think he's a few years ahead of me. Yeah. But just when I've listened to him talk about that town and how he lives in Orange County now, and I'm in LA, and it's just like very similar kind of paths.
I need to connect you two.
Yeah, totally. I'd love to. And it's just interesting because it's a very interesting mindset in the northwest of England. I grew up in a very small town surrounded by fields. And in England, even if you're in the suburbs or in the country or whatever, you're still pretty close to like town or city. It's so small, right? It's not like America where it's like, if you're in the country, you're miles away from the city. But the thing that I struggled with growing up is just the mindset out there in the Northwest. It was very like, you look down upon or ambition and the desire to do something or make something of yourself is kind of looked down upon. It's very real.
Why do you think that is?
It's just a centuries-old country, and it's just everyone's stuck in their ways, and it's very working class. Yeah, exactly. Still putting milk in tea. Like, I've never understood that. That's weird. Yeah, it's just very working class, and you do the same job that your dad did, and you go to the same pub that your dad went to, and you work for your dad's company, and he worked for his dad's company. It's very cyclical, and I could see that from an early age. Once I started to get to like 12, 13 years old, I saw kids my age kind of going to the pub with their dad and stuff, and I was just like, really? You're going to do that? And I would tell people, like, I want to go to LA, I want to go to California. I got really into the lifestyle of Los Angeles and American culture from an early age through a lot of music and TV and stuff. And I would say to people, like, when I was around like 16, 17, I'm going to go to California, whatever. And the mindset was like, oh yeah, of course you are. Yeah, whatever. And I was like, that motivated me more, because then I'm like, all right, I'm going to prove to you that I'm not bullshitting here. And that's like, sorry, can I swear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally.
Sorry. You like motivate me even more, because I want to go out there and do it and come back. And was like, and that happened. I was working a part-time job when I was like 17, 18, and I came out to LA, came back, be like, where have you been? I'm like, oh, LA. And then their face was like, oh, all right, okay. What do you do out there, kind of thing? Like, and I'm like, see, I'm like, yes, I won. You know what I mean? It's like a little victory. But yeah, it's very working class, and yeah, any kind of success is like, who does this guy think he is, kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's more like that. And so I resonated with it out here. My granddad actually pushed me a lot to come out here. He's like, go to America, it's way better. And out here, it's like, and the gym is a good example. It's like we have this idea, and we start doing it, and people are like, oh, I'll do that. I'll do it. People do things, and they support things, and they try new things, and it's very entrepreneurial and encouraging of ambition. And it's like, this is amazing. You know, you can do what you want, kind of thing.
Is Mike kind of iconic over there, as far as like?
I'm sure he is. Yeah, I mean, I've been in LA for 20 years, so my finger on the pulse of what's big over there is.
Did you see the commercial that we did together recently?
No, I gotta see that.
Yeah, I want to show you it right now because I think it's funny. Now, who would like to share first?
Sometimes when I see pictures of Anderson Silva, it makes me sad.
That's so brave.
There was this one time I won the belt, but I didn't actually win the belt.
That's okay.
I feel the reason why I've been wrestling for so long is because I've just been looking for a hug.
Yes.
I've been called Wonder Boy my entire life. Can I be honest with you guys? I'm in my 40s and I just want to be called Wonder Man. Or even just Steven.
Thank you so much for sharing, Wonder Man.
What the guys?
Michael, you're late for our share circle.
What are you doing?
We were just feeling our feelings.
We have a gong guy.
Guys, this is a waste of time. You don't need inner peace when you have outer perfection.
Outer perfection? You have a broken neck and a glass eye.
Two depressing facts. Absolutely true. However, look how soft this shirt is. This is a true classic Pima cotton shirt. It's like if a cloud had abs.
Mr. Bisping, can we all wear True Classic?
Why, yes, Stephen. You can.
I'm feeling
Comfy.
So breathable. Feels like silk.
I won.
Wonderful.
true classic. Look good. Feel good.
That's amazing. Is that his brand?
Isn't that epic? No, it's not.
Oh.
It's none of ours, but it was a lot of fun working with him. He's always a hoot.
Yeah, he's so real. I love it. And it's like kind of what I was saying, like northwest of England, it's just real. We say how it is. And that gets you into trouble in California.
Right? Molly McCann?
Yeah, exactly.
From there?
Yeah. I was listening to your chat with her, and she's great too. It's like Liverpool, same thing. They're just known for just saying how it is, no nonsense.
Yeah.
But when you're in LA and California, you realize like you've got to kind of rewire your brain a little bit. When I first started, first few years, I was like, you're just like, oh, this isn't really going to work. You know, it's kind of the opposite. You've got to just kind of dial it back a little bit. People are, you know, a little bit more sensitive. And you can't just be like bull in a china shop with your words out there. It's weird. And it's frustrating too.
Yeah. LA has its own unique vibe. And I think there it's more about, you know, saving face. It's a lot of like, you know, how you present and, you know, if you want to make sure to, you know, speak well and look well and then you do well.
That's why it has
different
that
culture.
That's why it has the reputation of like it's a fake place, because it's kind of a game, right? It's like you have to say the right things to the right people and work your way around and all this. And people kind of get that twisted. They think like they've got to put something on or do, you know, they feel like they can't be themselves. Yeah. And it actually works the opposite way around. If you are yourself and you're just kind of down to earth, you actually get further because everyone's trying so hard to be something that they're kind of not. And I've found that over the years, like my circle of friends and my clientele, and they're just great people and just humble, down to earth. And you find those people in LA and it's great, you know, but there's just a lot of people who think you've got to do the opposite, you know?
Yeah. So let me ask you this. You are finding your way, you're navigating, you want to find a career to take you to the next level. You know you're passionate about boxing, you know you're passionate about fitness. And this community that you have that's coming to see you guys around the regular at the beach is growing. What is it that inspires you to take that to the next step? And was that scary? Did it happen organically? You mentioned, kind of had a conversation. Walk me through how that transpired.
Yeah, I don't know, it's hard to describe looking back on it, but I think the biggest thing was just passion. We just loved what we were doing. So I would show up at the gym at 6 a.m. because I just wanted to. As soon as I woke up, I was just like, right, get ready. Can't wait to get to the gym. Like, it just felt like a privilege to do
your
it.
boxing gym?
Yeah.
Or
to be at the Box and Burn gym.
But before you had the
before
boxing
the gym.
Yeah, because sometimes people, I feel like, get afraid to take like the next step, or they get a little worried about the risk. I mean, that going from like this fun thing that's kind of like a hobby on the beach, there's nothing really to lose, to actually investing time and money and resources and other people's time and money potentially into a brick and mortar, like hoping that it will be successful. I mean, what does it really take to have the mentality to transition from hobby and passion to I'm going to take that and turn it into something profitable?
I totally get that. And I've had this conversation because I mentor and coach other trainers now. So I have this conversation a lot, and people are very scared to kind of take that next step, whether it's a change of career or moving from the career, the side hustle into the full career. I just think you've got to trust your gut, and you'll know. There's no kind of correct time or, I've got to wait another 6 months and then I'll do it or whatever. It's just, if you're thinking like that, it's never going to happen. You'll just know when it's time to kind of go all in. And I think if you have to be confident that it's going to work and believe in it. And the biggest caveat with that is be honest with yourself. If there's any doubt, or you're like, this might not work, then work harder at making it to the point where you're ultimately convinced. And I was completely convinced with the two dudes I was with, because I believed in them too. They were smart guys. One was an Olympian, a bronze medalist, and an undefeated professional boxer. So I was like, right, he knows how to succeed at things. He puts his mind to something, he's going to get it done. So there was that drive, and I latched onto that, and he taught me a lot. So
what was his name?
Tony Jeffries. And then his partner in the gym, Kevin, had moved out to LA from Kentucky, so he had that ambition to go and better himself. He was strength and conditioning coach at UC Louisville, Kentucky basketball team. So a good strength and conditioning background. So I'm like, I'm in good hands here. And these guys have got the drive and ambition to build this gym. Clearly the classes and what we're doing is working. So, and this is what I want to do for a living. So there was no second guessing it. There was just a point where it was like, what do we need to do to get you in this full time and not do what you're doing? And I was just like, well, whatever you can, I'll be here, but I need to start picking up clients, teaching more classes. All right, let's do it. Bang. So I was fortunate that I had, mentors, if you will, and partners with me that I believed in. And I think that's one piece of advice I would give if you are trying to start a gym or get into a coaching career or whatever industry it is. If you're trying to do it on your own or you're trying to build your own thing, I would highly recommend surrounding yourself with like-minded people, maybe even partner with somebody that might have been there and done it before. Or, do you know what I'm saying? Like, kind of arm yourself with someone that's going to give you that confidence that this is going to work. I think on your own it can be a kind of scary decision, but I never felt that. I always felt like this is going to work. I believe in the three of us and this is going to happen, and it did. So,
and it did.
Yeah.
And
kind of trust your gut, I guess, is the...
Yeah. And then you built this gym. You opened a second location. Mm-hmm. It was called Box...
the gym was called Box and Burn, yeah.
Box and Burn.
That's the first gym opened 2012 after about a year of doing the beach classes. And then the second location was 2014. So within 2 years, we got a second location. And the first few months were brutal. We didn't even have a front desk person or anything. It was kind of, we'd have to sit around and they'd be like, I'm going to go and get lunch. Can you wait here while I go? So because there always had to be somebody there.
Yeah.
But it was kind of the opposite of how gyms start now. Gyms now are typically more get the investment money in or get somebody who's going to put money in, and they've got to look perfect from the beginning because it's all got to look good on Instagram and it's got to get eyeballs. And if it's not a cool looking spot, you've not got much chance, because social media's kind of changed that a little bit. But back then it was 2011, 12. So Instagram was just starting out, really. It wasn't really a thing. So we didn't care about how it looked or anything. It was just an empty warehouse. We just cared about the product and the community. All of the how it looked and the layout and the equipment and all that started to build over time. So we were fortunate in that sense. But yeah, 2014, the second gym started in Brentwood, and that was a lot bigger. But I think square footage, it might have been about the same. But
Do you still operate in?
It was a
do you
nicer
still
gym.
operate in meters, or have you been converted to feet?
Feet. I never. It's weird.
Our measuring system doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it
really
doesn't make sense, but it's also weird because I think about this in running too. You're like, I'm going for a 5-mile run, but then it's like it's
3.2
like, and it's like,
kilometers.
but then we talk about 10K and 5K, and it's like it's mixed. So I don't know.
You just follow along.
Was it bigger or smaller? That'll do.
Okay, so talk to me about the struggles with having the business, and especially when COVID hit. And, how do you work through that? And was it like a mental setback for you at all?
With the gym, the biggest struggles up until COVID, so that's that 10 year period was, and I was kind of managing the gym and kind of running it and spearheading it, fitness director, whatever you want to call it. The biggest struggle was managing trainers and staff. We had a format for classes where we had multiple trainers in a class, not like a typical fitness class where it's just one instructor. We had some of the biggest classes we had were like 32 plus people. We ended up capping it at 32, so it was a big class, right? And we always wanted to be ahead of any other gyms that might be popping up, or we wanted to have the best class ever. So we had multiple trainers in a class doing mitt work, which is what made it so popular. People could come in and get pad work, right? Which is so addictive. People love hitting the pads. And any other boxing fitness gym, it was like you might get a little bit of pad work, but it's mostly heavy bags and then, exercises. So we were always like well ahead of everyone because we had 5 trainers in a class. Now, from a business model standpoint, that really eats into your overheads because you're paying so many trainers per class. But we knew, okay, this is costing a lot, but it's by far the best class anywhere. No one's gonna find a better class than this.
Was that the feedback that you received as well?
Oh yeah,
people liked
loved
having
it.
more hands on deck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like people absolutely loved it, and like Yelp reviews went through the roof. We actually got an award from Yelp. They were like best boxing class in California or something. And then Men's Fitness or Men's Health put an article out. #1 gym in California was Box and Burn, and then they did a top 50 gyms in America feature.
Yeah.
And we were like #5. So we were like, wow, we're really onto something here. But
why
that was the biggest struggle, was managing the trainers, because it was such a huge team of staff.
Right. Were the classes just that big, or were they similar sizes to other classes? Like, why would it be helpful to have so many, hands on deck, so to speak?
It was just the popularity. So every class was always full and waitlisted, and the membership was growing all the time.
So how big is a class?
The typical class size at the Santa Monica location was 32 people in a class. So it was big. And
I don't think that's big, like in my perspective. I mean, it is, but it's not, like when you say that you have like a 3 or 5, I'm thinking, gosh, are their classes like 75 people? Like, why do they need so many, but I think there's a benefit to it, and I want you to elaborate why. Yeah.
Well, before we kind of developed the systems and got to the point where we could have systems, like in the early days, we'd have like 50, 60 people walking through the door, and they were just signing on a sheet of paper, right? Super ghetto. We were like, how do we control this? This is, we were learning on the job kind of thing. Didn't have the funds, the resources yet to hire front desk and systems and all that kind of stuff. Super organic. So we did have that problem. It was like 60, 70, and trying to give everyone a little bit of mitt work where they're not going to leave disappointed, right? So then as it grows and it builds, you kind of realize what's the sweet spot for the cap in the classes, and then how many classes a day should we have? So we decided on 32 was going to be the sweet spot, and then there'd be a wait list and all that kind of stuff. So I say it's a big class. It doesn't sound crazy, but in a decent sized room, 32 people all training at the same time, doing mitt work in the ring, hitting the heavy bag, cross training, whatever. The energy was through the roof. It was crazy.
What was your men to women ratio?
Definitely over 50% women. I would say maybe 70-30 women, female to male. Yeah.
I'd
like 60-40 maybe. Yeah. And
that's what it was when you first started, or that's what it's...
It was always that, yeah. It kind of, with the group classes, it was always, I'd say, predominantly women.
So I'm not jumping far too ahead, but the technique, that's something that you really focus on. helping the members not just look like they're on, baby deer legs when they're throwing mitts, and
Right.
that you really have a heavy focus on helping them look good and feel good by being functional, not just looks for looks, but actually
Totally.
being functional when they're hitting mitts. And I'm just wondering if that has always been the focus. Like since you were on the beach, you're like, hey, I actually know what it looks like to hit mitts correctly. Form is also good for not hurting your back and your knees and all of these things. I mean, there's a lot more that goes into it, but I think having that heavy focus, at least I think women enjoy coming in and being able to know how to do something and have it explained right and well. And I'm a big believer that women need to hit things.
Oh yeah, big time. I would say they need to hit it more than men.
Yeah.
Women are way better at listening and absorbing and executing. I think they're naturally a little bit more athletic. This is what I've seen over the years.
Well,
and
they
I think,
don't come in with a preconceived notion
Yes.
that they know how to do it.
100%.
And it's sometimes men are like, I know how to throw a punch.
100%.
I know how to fight.
Yep,
You're
yep.
not going to tell me.
totally, there's no ego there.
Right.
So we'd have very intentional set systems for what we're going to teach. So say you came through the door for the first time, it's your first class, right? Number one, we wanted to take it intimidation out of it. A lot of people never been in a boxing gym before, and we created kind of it looked like a real fight gym, right? But it's a fitness class. So we wanted it to feel authentic, but we didn't want people to feel intimidated. So we did a lot of things that were intentional to take that out. But
Like what?
well, as soon as someone walks through the door for the first time, we would make sure the trainers greeted them, the front desk staff greeted them, like, what's your name? Da-da-da, make them feel at ease, explain the class, wrap their hands for them, explain how it's going to go, give them a little orientation, just kind of calm the nerves a little bit and just talk about how we want this to be fun for you. Our main thing, and this is probably a good takeaway for anyone listening who is interested in starting a gym or building your own classes or whatever, if you're on the coaching side, rule number one with everything was you're going to have fun today. This is going to be a fun workout for you. Number two, you're going to get a great workout. And number three, you're going to learn something along the way. So that was always our mindset. A lot of gyms and coaches or whatever, they kind of might do, you're going to learn something, be their number one priority. So they might be there for 20 minutes teaching them like a jab or how to squat properly and get into the minutiae of it and really, for most people that want to get a workout in after work or before work or whatever it is, it's just draining for them. And it's just, attention span kind of drops off. And it's like, okay, I'm not here to win a world title. I'm here to, burn some calories and,
Feel good.
relieve some stress, whatever their goal is. Yeah. But a lot of coaches would get that, I'm going to teach you, and it becomes more about them than it does about the client, right? So we limited how much time we spent on technique with them. So the members would come in, we would train. If it was your first time, take that intimidation factor out. But like you said, dudes would come in and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, man, boxing gym," and then we'd be like, "Oh, how's it going? Nice to meet you." And we'd be all humble and nice, and yeah. And then have you boxed before? And oh yeah. And then you'd be like, "Oh, where at?" Kind of thing. And then you're just like, "Well, I've done Krav Maga or whatever." And you're just like, that's not boxing. You know what I mean? But it's they can't say I've never boxed before, right? It's like a huge ego dent. That happened all the time. So you could just tell a mile off after a while. Oh yeah, I've boxed. And you're like, oh, he's never boxed. Okay, whatever. And then the same thing would happen in the classes. You'd see that ego translate to how they work out too. So round one, the dudes are on the heavy bag, all stiff and holding their breath and just trying to smash it and prove to whoever's next to them on the bag or, whatever. And then the women were just they've had their little tutorial and they're just I'm trying to get it right, looking all athletic and sharp and stuff. And I think because of that, they got way more out of it, and they're like, this is great. There was no over teaching, no pressure, no intimidation factor or anything. Just go on and do a great workout. And they picked it up so much quicker. And then within a few months, they're just killing it, and in great shape.
Yeah. What is it about, being tense and hitting the bag heavy and just trying to hit it as hard as you can that's less productive than trying to get the actual technique right? Or if you could dive into a little bit, what were the women doing? And I'm sure this is not exclusive to women. I'm sure there are men that do come in that get the technique and try to do that too.
Totally.
But I guess if any of the listeners are curious about going in, and how can you get more out of your boxing workout, whether you're hitting the heavy bag or whether you're focused on mitts or something like that. You know, what are the things that somebody who's in that realm could take away, whether they're a professional athlete or somebody who's just starting?
Right. I'd say the biggest mistake even with novice boxers, beginner boxers, is just the breathing. Like people think like if you hold your breath on impact of a punch, and you obviously know this, it's like it's like swimming underwater. There's no release of the energy production or the force production. You've got to release it. It's like exhale, make a sound, whatever it is. That controls the heart rate. That allows you to, you know, train, punch, work out longer, right?
Yeah.
It's just in the breathing patterns, and that's what people struggle with the most. And it's like, and then that creates that tension. Heart rate goes up, and there's only so long you can keep doing that until you're just gassed. You know, heart rate's maxed out when it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So that's probably the biggest thing. And then I just think people have a misconception that because it's boxing, you've got to do it really intensely, and you've got to like hit it as hard as you can and as fast as you can and be explosive. It's like, no, that's going to come over time. And if you watch boxers in a fight, it's very like the best boxers in the world. It's very relaxed and rhythmic and just bang. It's timing, right? It's sweet science.
It's a
you know,
push and a pull.
Exactly. Yeah. Just watching Usyk at the weekend, like one of people talking about him now as like the greatest of all time, and it's just rhythm. It's bam bam. You know, it's all controlled. That pace is controlled. You know, and it's the same. If you're in a fight, you can obviously attest to that, but it's like, it's the same in your workouts and your training. If you're just going and doing a yoga class, right? You got to kind of, you know, pace yourself through it. If it's there for 45 minutes or an hour, whatever it is,
Yeah.
you know, there's a pacing element to it.
What did you think about Jake Paul's boxing event in the all women's event? Did you see that recently? It was on Netflix.
Yeah. Okay. Are we going to go down the Jake Paul rabbit hole?
Let's
All
go.
right. So I think what he's doing for women's boxing on the promotional side with MVP is phenomenal. And I don't think anyone would argue with that. Taking pretty much all the top female fighters now and putting them under one promotional umbrella is a great thing. And that event at Madison Square Garden with Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano 3, phenomenal event. I like how they make the presentation look, the energy in the arena, like the commentary teams they put in place, like with Netflix production, great. And I can't knock him for doing that. And I think they're doing great things with women boxing. What he's doing for himself is also, you've got to admire it, right?
I do very much. There's been a lot of times that I've counted him out when he was fighting. I mean, all the different MMA fighters, you know, from Ben Askren to Diaz to, you know, it's just like you're thinking he's gonna lose at some point. And I've been impressed. I'll just say this: like so far, I've been impressed. But obviously, there's a point where, you know, it's not probably you can't continue too far.
Yeah.
But maybe, you know, but. I mean, I know you have some thoughts on it, but I also love a dreamer. I love a good dreamer.
Totally, yeah. I think so there's a few things. Like, for anyone to get into a ring and have a fight in an arena full of people that's live on a pay-per-view, that takes something that most people don't have, right? So from that standpoint, only 100% admiration for that, like, and respect. I think it's, you know, I'll never not respect that. It's unbelievable. Most people will never even think about doing that or dream about doing that. So the fact that he's got that ambition and able to just go and do that, nothing but respect for that. The issue that like I have with the way he's going about doing it, again, from a marketing standpoint, it's genius. He's making millions of dollars from these events that he's putting on. And he understands his role. He knows he's the heel. He knows that everybody wants to see him get knocked out or lose to a respectable name. And he's just leaning right into that. And he's matchmaking himself very smartly with people that he knows he's got a 90% chance, if not higher, of beating based on his skill set and his experience and where he's at. And he's making millions of dollars doing it. And if you think of like the career of a boxer, right, when they turn over pro, those first few fights, maybe up to like your 10th fight or so, you're building, right? Even if you're a top amateur, you're coming into the pros, you're fighting 4-rounders, 6-rounders against guys that you're 90% expected to win, right? And they're there to survive and get you the rounds and the
That's such
practice.
an interesting emphasis in boxing. I don't feel like we quite have that in MMA, but it's been changing over the years. But being that it's a much newer sport, I just feel like it was like everybody just fought everybody, and nobody was too picky. They were too, there's a lot of pride to not be picky. Where in boxing, it's a strategy, and
it's career building.
It's career building, and if you have a good manager and you're a prospect, then they're gonna make sure that you're fighting those people that, like you said, you have the 90% chance of winning.
Yeah. That system is like that, the journeyman system. So you're fighting journeyman. That's technically what Jake Paul's doing, but every journeyman is either an MMA fighter or faded MMA fighter with limited boxing ability, or a retired boxer.
Oh, let's talk about Mike Tyson. What did you think of that fight?
It was sad to see. Yeah, it shouldn't have happened. But if you're Mike Tyson, it's like, here's X amount of $1 million just to go and, put yourself through a training camp and hang in there. He's not going to say no, is he? It's Mike Tyson. He's addicted to that chaos and that, that adrenaline rush. So, but
do you think that there was any throwing of it? Like that?
No, I don't think so. I just think he's got no knees. He can't walk very well. It's like, it's just sad to see. He's just not got the ability to get his feet close enough to even land a punch.
Though? That was crazy.
Yeah. I think, like first round, he seemed to be moving pretty quick and sharp, but then it's just...
But he had this major health crisis a few months prior, and I think that probably weighed heavily on that actual outcome. Because when you saw him doing some of his workouts and even his open workouts and stuff, you're like, okay, like he's moving, he's moving right. But obviously, I know being in a fight is a totally different thing. And when you get hit, and you just don't, I think as you get older, you don't see the punches coming. It's not as easy, right, to see them and react to them. The reaction time slows down a bit. Yeah. So hitting mitts and looking good on that is entirely different than when somebody's hitting you in the face and your timing and your eyes are shutting more often. You're anticipating that because you're not seeing it. Right. So the reaction time slows.
Yeah, and just having a moving target in front of you instead of mitts, But so then you've got to move your feet. Footwork's got to be there to get in position to land the punches, and just physically not able to do it. His knees are just shot, so it's like he's just going to be rooted to the spot. So you saw after round one, his legs are gone, and I think if anyone was pulling, it was Jake. I think he could have probably knocked him out and stopped him if he wanted to, and I don't think he wanted to do that because that would have been more disrespectful in a way, because it's Mike Tyson, absolute legend, and you saw him like the last round, he like bowed to him and he's like respect, but I honestly think he was just a sitting duck, and Jake probably could have stopped him. Or
that's why I actually kind of like Jake. At first I wasn't sure, and there was these rivalries with the MMA fighters, and I was like, he's gonna lose, he's gonna get his ass kicked, and then he kept showing up and he kept doing well. Granted, again, the matches and size, and usually these things were in his favor, but I still thought, well, he just doesn't have experience. He's this YouTuber boxer. That's not real, And then he keeps showing up and he keeps doing well, but at the end of it, he's actually a very respectful and intelligent man, and I like that. I like that he didn't, he doesn't continue to burn anybody after the fact. Actually, with Ben Askren, I don't know if you've heard about that, but he had a double lung transplant.
I feel like he's on the mend, right? He's kind of coming through it.
Yeah. He's on the mend. He's awake and he's on the mend, and hopefully we'll be going soon, home soon. But Jake reaching out and supporting is like, that's just, it's cool. It just shows that he's a real dude, and I love what he's doing for women's boxing.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
I want to know, your thoughts. You're probably a little more versed in the boxing world, but to me, it just seems like this good old boys club that hasn't really caught up with the times, and I feel like they have been hindering the opportunity that women have to deliver great boxing shows. And the commission probably has part to do with this too. I know it was a pain in the ass to get MMA even approved in New York for the longest time. I actually fought in Madison Square Garden on the first ever event, but it wasn't until 2017. So
wow, it was that
16?
Recent? Wow.
16, 17? Yeah, right around in there. And so I know that there are a lot of things that can prevent a sport in its entirety from progressing, but even the women, it seems like we kind of throw it on kind of as like this little side piece to what we're doing. they never really gave the opportunity for the story to be told like they would in the men's, or for the rounds to be long enough to actually get the knockouts and the things that I think that the women are capable of delivering.
Yeah.
So there's just been all these things that have kind of handicapped that. I mean, do you agree, or what do you think? Why women's
definitely.
boxing hasn't, and what do you see in the future for it?
Oh, I think it's just going from strength to strength now, and what Jake's doing, it's only gonna get bigger and bigger. And I think the women are seeing what's happening, and there's more of an appetite for them to like market themselves better, like have a little bit more about them because the opportunities are there now.
Storyline, that's
so they're
important.
putting more time into like their social media and their presence and their personality and getting out there more and doing it. So that's definitely where I think it's just there's gonna be more of those events on a regular basis. And to touch on what you said about the history, like Katie Taylor, women's boxing was banned in Ireland until I think she used to have to try and compete as a dude. She had to change her name to have amateur fights in her hometown, and then ended up going to the Olympics and changing the laws and completely changed the whole game in her country. And she's considered, the greatest of all time because of that. It's being such a pioneer. Now she's headlining Madison Square Garden and doing all that kind of stuff. So I only think we're going to see more and more of those kind of pioneers of women's boxing for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exciting. I think the fights are great.
It is.
On the knockouts thing, I don't know if jumping it to 3 minutes would necessarily lead to more knockouts. I just don't know. I just feel like that creates that maybe extra level of fatigue where the quality might drop.
But
and they
usually
might not
when
be as
people
sharp,
get
but I don't know.
tired, that's when you get more knockouts,
Right.
though, right?
Right.
So I just did a podcast recently in LA, and I was talking to a brain doctor, and he was saying that minute by minute, well, if you look at the entire fight, women don't have as many knockouts as men. If you just compare fight to fight, but minute by minute, it's actually almost identical.
In terms of punches landed?
No, in
or
terms
knockouts?
of like knockout, like minute by, if you break down, I think that's what it was, is like if you break it down, the men's, how long it takes them to get a knockout, and like you compare directly the actual minutes, that it's comparable.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, that's interesting because, so the hypothesis is that if you allowed women to have the extra time, that they would potentially have more, I hope I didn't say that wrong. Maybe it's the knockdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's what it is that's comparable. But that it's usually in these latter parts that they get like those knockouts, and
Right,
that
right.
it's actually a lot closer than you think. But that taking that extra minute away from the females is potentially, hypothetically, what he was saying was making a big difference in the actual finish of a knockout.
Right. The question then is, well, if they change it and we start seeing more knockouts, that should increase the popularity of the sport. But do we need to do that when we've just seen a huge card on Netflix sell out Madison Square Garden? And
Maybe not.
it's the most popular it's
but
ever
I
been.
would think that
I don't know.
I would think people, unfortunately the fans love knockouts.
I know.
It's not going to hurt it, that's for sure. And I think it would help the popularity, and it potentially that's part of the reason why women's boxing hasn't been seen as interesting or as equal, because they don't have as many finishes and they're shorter rounds, and it kind of just seems like it's not taken as seriously.
Totally. I think there's not so much now. I think it's changing based on what I was just saying, but like personalities and characters in women's boxing has not been there as much as on the men's
The
side.
storyline's everything. I had the biggest rivalry to date in women's MMA,
Right.
with against Ronda Rousey, and
Yeah.
it was all the storyline. Like if there
Totally.
wasn't someone there to help us tell it, that never would have been a thing.
Right.
It would never would have changed the landscape of women's MMA.
Right, but that happened because you understand the opportunities are there. UFC created those opportunities for women to go and do that, right? So it's like someone like you's got that kind of smart brain to understand, like, okay, I've got the skill set here, and like if I'm promote myself and market myself.
No, you're giving me too much credit. I didn't know any of that. When I first started with Ronda, this was back in the Strikeforce days.
Right.
And I just genuinely didn't like her.
Right.
And the media loved it, and they took it and they ran with it, and I did interviews, and it just that they went gung ho. And so I realized that it was getting traction, but I had no idea that it would have any bearing on necessarily making the impact that it did. So
Yeah, I
was just,
wasn't
being
trying to insinuate it was like all premeditated or like
No,
like thought out.
I didn't know.
I just feel like the both of you are like really good at like just letting your personalities come out and shine, right?
yeah.
And I feel like when there's a platform to do that, and
That's the
be
thing.
like, right, I hate this person, I can't stand this person,
Yeah.
and you've got the platform to express that and not hold back on it. That's when fireworks happen, right?
Yes.
Whereas
And I feel
with
like that hasn't had-
with women's boxing, that hasn't happened yet. But we've started to see it a little bit with Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. There was needle there, and then to the actual fight styles, the first two fights, Katie, like mid-fight, held her feet, and they just went to war for 6 rounds, second half of the fight. And then the third fight, she just kind of used footwork, stayed out of range, and it led to a more boring fight. And she probably could have done that in the first 2 fights. It goes back to what you're saying, like people want to see the action and then trade, right? So we had this huge event, but it's like the main event was kind of a bit of a dud because she just completely outboxed her and showed her skill set. But I think now that the platform is there, I think a lot of the female fighters that are getting world titles now and their followings are growing, and there's more of a pool of fighters in the mix, that natural needle and rivalries will start to happen, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see Clarissa Shields' documentary?
I haven't seen the documentary.
I guess
No.
it's a,
Yeah, like the film or
the
whatever.
film.
Yeah. I haven't seen it. How is it?
So good.
Yeah, I need
Honestly,
to watch that.
really, really good. Highly recommend. But yeah, more things coming out like that.
Yeah,
And, I
and
think
she's
just
great at
stories.
stirring the pot too. She just
Yeah.
hasn't got any competition.
Yeah.
That's what sucks.
All right, let's switch gears back. So you are firsthand, you're building this business, you're doing something different, you're creating a community. Then COVID hits. We can kind of go through that. I don't think we need a deep dive, but we'll go into that a little bit. And then I'm really curious about when you got to the point of training trainers and how you actually helped change the model of what boxing experience would look like for somebody who's not actually a fighter.
Right.
Not that it can't benefit fighters, but people who just want to come in and get fit and receive good instruction. And this is a problem we've had in MMA as well, is that anybody can just claim to be a trainer and the experience can vary so much. And people who don't actually know what they're doing, sometimes just talking out of their ass. I've seen the most horrific videos on, Instagram, YouTube, whatever, of these trainers, having their students stand with their hands behind their backs and just, either gut
I've
punch
seen
them
those.
or just straight headshots.
Yeah.
It's like,
sad
okay,
to
well, this
see.
is obviously, an ego-driven person who has convinced these innocent, probably non-fighters to come in and bear down and show how tough they are, which is
horrible.
It's horrible. So,
From a fitness standpoint, I think a couple of things, like going back to the beginning, I had a lot of imposter syndrome. I was like with an Olympic bronze medalist, an undefeated professional, and I'm like, what am I doing here? I don't know any. I don't have anywhere near. I had some amateur fights. That was it, right? So I'm like, but I realized pretty quickly, and he was great at being like, no, you know what you're doing. You know boxing. Like people want to work with you. You're great to be around. Like, so it really helped me kind of get rid of that. And then I realized the more confidence I built over the years, like, okay, this guy wants to train with me, and then this guy wants to train me, and then I got some celebrity clients, and I got some professional athlete clients, and some fighter clients, and I was just like, oh, okay, I guess I'm doing something right. People do like my coaching style, and I kind of know what I'm talking about, so that kind of went away. But I think the passion for me is just like, once I learn something and I feel like I've conquered it, or not conquered it, but like I know about something, I can't wait to share it with other people. So that's kind of what led to, I want to work with other coaches and show them how to do this, right? So it was like great working with people, clients and stuff, and teaching classes or whatever. But then we had this idea we saw across the fitness industry, and I was doing a lot of these courses, like strength and conditioning courses, kettlebells, TRX, whatever, any modality that you could think of. There's a certification course for it, or multiple certification courses, or seminars, workshops. There's all these things you can go and do, right? And we kind of put our heads together and we're like, well, if someone wants to teach boxing for fitness, right, and they've got a personal training certificate or whatever, but where can they go to learn how to hold pads properly, teach technique correctly.
Fundamentals.
Yeah, or go and learn how to box themselves a little bit first, understand the fundamentals, and then when they feel ready, go and start teaching.
Well, and this could be
there wasn't
helpful
anything.
even somebody who knows how to box, because you don't always know how to break the basics down to teach the fundamentals to someone else. Just because you know how to do it as an
100%.
athlete doesn't mean
Yes.
that you communicate it well. And sometimes I think, people forget that. It's like, well, I know how to do it. Yeah, but can you show someone step 1, step 2, step 3?
Yep.
Or are you skipping to 10 and they're confused and frustrated?
100%. And I've seen that so many times. We'd hire people at the gym because they were a professional fighter, or they had, credentials in boxing, and they were just completely lost and clueless on how to teach the average person who just came from work to come and do a workout. They didn't have a clue how to communicate it. I can't.
Yeah, because it's so basic. You really have to go back to fundamentals.
Yeah.
And when you've been years and years away from that, it's not that you don't know it. It's just that sometimes you don't remember how to break down the simplification of what you do. And you're used to working with people who have years and years of experience. So
Right.
when you communicate it, it's like, oh, they get it. But then again, when you're working with people who are just coming in and learning for the first time, they need to go back
Yeah.
to take the baby steps. And maybe they don't ever want to get to step 10 or
Yeah.
12 or
Oh,
100.
totally. And it comes down to having systems. That's the biggest thing I can suggest. And again, another takeaway if anyone's trying to get into this stuff is have systems. That's what I help a lot of coaches and gyms that I consult for, like help them build those systems. So no matter who's coming through the door to work at your gym or implement, the teaching for your members or your clients or whatever it is, no matter what they've done, they've got the systems and the template and the blueprint to deliver, right? That you created, that you want to put through. And that helps. I just spoke to a guy 2 days ago who's got a gym here in Vegas, and he's had 3 trainers leave on him within a week. So if you've got these systems in place, it's like you can hire the passion, and then the systems are there for them to deliver it, right?
That's the business model for any business that wants to be successful. Systems
100%,
help.
totally, yeah. And that, we learned that pretty early on. We were hiring, like I said, like ex-fighters. We hired an Olympic silver medalist boxer who had a great professional career, world champion. And we brought him in. It was like, oh, this is going to be great. He's a name in boxing. And I remember it was like one of the first few classes, and it was before we put those systems in place, still kind of green and raw with it all. And we had like a couple of, ladies in the ring for their first class. And we were like, oh, can you go show them like the basics or whatever, so they're ready for the class? And he's like, yeah, no problem. And so I'm like doing the warm up with the group or whatever, and I've like got peripherals on this guy teaching these women, and they're just like deer in the headlights, hands like this, like, what is this guy on about? And I can see him like shadowboxing, like double hooks to the body and stuff, and going like, bah, bah, like smash, bah. And they're just like, what am I?
Yeah, like
So then I go back to the owners and I'm like, we need to figure out how we're going to teach these first timers so that it's the same every time and it works for people. Yeah.
Experience.
So that's kind of the seeds of and the ideas of us putting together a certification course and system. So we kind of implemented that in the gym, and then we built it into a whole certification course. And we were the first ones to do it, like the world's first ever boxing fitness certification. We ended up traveling the world, teaching like thousands of personal trainers and fitness professionals.
You went to
and
Extreme
gym
Couture,
owners.
you were telling me.
Yeah,
at
we did a
lunch.
course out here. Yeah, that was one of the first courses we did outside of LA. Was at Randy Couture's gym.
That's
That was
That's
really
where
cool.
I train.
Yeah. So that was maybe 2017 or 18, I think. That was a long time ago.
Well, that was right when I was hitting my little pseudo retirement, where I was like, I'd won the belt and then I lost the belt and I retired, and so I probably didn't get to benefit much from what you were taught our trainers. But
With your camps, like I'm interested because we're talking about boxing. Like how much, like what percentage of your camps is spent on boxing or the striking, as you call it?
each camp is so different. I've had a lot of variation, but I mean, historically, I would say I try to I'll do like wrestling and then grappling, which are different.
Yeah.
But also, about being connected.
Right.
And then you have like striking, and usually striking for me isn't just boxing. It's always like some form of kickboxing.
Mm-hmm.
I very, very rarely do just boxing, but sometimes, I'll hit just mitts. But usually it's always, I need to usually work with someone who lets me do like the fit-ins and things like that, so that I can get in for my my wrestling and shots like that too. And I'll never forget, when I fought Ronda the second time, Roy Jones Jr. was in the audience, and he actually came and he found me, and I was sitting on the floor, and I was sad, I was sulking, and he was like, "Hey, get up." It's like, you don't sit on the floor after a performance like that. And he just gave me the best pep talk, and we never did end up getting a chance to work together, but I think that would have been, that would have been epic. Maybe someday I'll still get a chance. I mean, I'd love to hit mitts with you at some point. That would be
let's do
great. I would love it. Maybe instead of lunch, that's what we should have done. But but yeah, I think there's a bigger focus now too on prioritizing our health and wellness, and I feel like there's more of a trend in MMA potentially than boxing.
I think boxing's still quite old school and a little bit behind in terms of strength and conditioning side, recovery, mobility, definitely. But it's getting there. There's some really smart coaches in the UK that are like doing really good stuff.
Do they have anything like the Performance Institute? Like, I mean, we have everything there. It's like the cool plunge, the hot plunge, we've got the sauna, and we've got physical therapists right there. It's like you just come in and you get work done. Yeah. It's nice.
Well, I think with a big influx of money into the sport that there's been from like the Saudis, I think now we're seeing, I'm not saying that that's directly responsible, but there is more money around to pay strength and conditioning coaches, mobility experts, put recovery protocols into place in boxing than there used to be. I think a lot of it used to be the money goes to the fighters, the managers, the promoters, and it still does obviously, but the fighters at the top level now are making a lot more money than they've ever made, so they can put a little bit more into that side of it. So it's definitely getting there. But I think US is still far behind in boxing, with UFC way ahead. And I think boxing could definitely learn from that. And I think I actually watched an interview recently with Eddie Hearn, the head of Matchroom Boxing, probably the top boxing promoter in the world right now. And he was talking about how far ahead the UFC PI is and how he wants to create that for boxing. And so I think it's waking up, it's getting there, but it's still got a ways to go.
Yeah. We see Terrence Crawford in there.
Yeah. Okay.
Sometimes.
Cool. Yeah.
I've been like on the bike
next
to him, and
legend. Yeah. Big fight coming up too.
Yeah. He's really cool too. Like really down to earth.
Yeah. He seems kind of chilled out, laid back. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways.
But I think the boxers are starting to smarten up and having people around them that are like, you need to go and do your recovery protocols. You need to be better with mobility because it's only going to prolong their career and allow them to make more money, right? The more they look after themselves now.
Well, I mean, I'm a big believer in you get out of your body what you put into it.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
And I think the athletes are starting to wisen up to that too. I mean, we're always looking for, it's a game, it's a marginal game.
The problem with boxers, I don't think a lot of them look at it as sport or they're athletes. They see themselves as fighters and they kind of almost put themselves in a different category. And if you look at like someone like LeBron James, who's spending over $1 million a year on his body, right, to recover, and he's still at the top level at what is he, early 40s or post 40. And then even Usyk right now, Ukraine, right, good example of a boxer who's doing it right, 38 and just cleaning up and killing it and so athletic and mobile. But there's a lot of boxers who've still got this mindset, I'm a fighter, I'm not. And
it's a macho mindset.
Yeah, fight finishes, and then it's like, go and switch off for a month and, not even think about running or training or good diet or food. And it's the fighters that are 365 with that stuff that have the longer careers, that stay at the top level. And the fighters that are off in between camps and fights, they have shorter careers. It's as simple as that. Like Mayweather's a good example, just 365 nonstop, consummate professional.
Yeah. And,
love him or hate him, whatever, but he is so disciplined, and Usyk is so disciplined. And it's just, if they see themselves as athletes and that's your job, and you put that time and energy and expense into it, or not expense, investment, I guess is probably a better word, you can be at the top for a long time, and it's a short career.
There's no way to recreate the time spent in the gym and in fights. And that is the thing that the young fighters lack, that the older fighters can have and as an advantage, but the older fighters have to keep their bodies functioning like younger fighters, and that's where the difference is made. You can be great.
Yep.
How long do you want to be great for?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Totally. And I think now with the access to information we have and the brains that are out there, whether it's, neuroscientists, nutritionists, like they're all over YouTube, Instagram, like they're everywhere, right? And musicians are switching onto it. I work with a lot of musicians, right? A lot of my best friends and clients are musicians, and they're spending money on their body, investing in cold plunges and saunas and supplements and doing it.
One good thing that came out of COVID. I feel like it's like people really got invested into their health and wellness. And I mean, we know working out is one of the best things that you can do for your immune system.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Like strength training, for bone density, I'm a big runner, and I love running just for like the mental aspect of it, and just, that longevity from, keeping your cardio up, cardiovascular system going from a longevity standpoint. The thing that I struggle with now is we've almost got access to too much information and too many brains going into the pot. So it's like, you'll see one thing on one channel or hear something from somebody and you're like, okay, great. And then 6 months later, someone's saying, no, that's not how you do it.
Funny videos on Instagram where it'll have like, this guy will be like making his morning breakfast and he's making some oatmeal, and then the little, video will pop up in his little corner of what he's doing, and it'll be like, oatmeal's bad for you and here's why. And so he's like, throws the oatmeal away, and then he gets some eggs. Eggs are bad for you, they make your cholesterol, right? And then he throws that away, and he's like, then it keeps moving through all these things. Fruit's got to be healthy, and finally he's like, water's got to be healthy. No, it can't be in plastic. He's just like, he's like,
you got nothing left.
Basically just like, I'm just gonna starve.
Totally. I think the biggest thing for anyone listening to this, if you're confused or I've been told that this is bad for you now, whatever, people are experiencing that. I think with fitness and with nutrition, it's really important to understand that it's never one size fits all.
Yeah.
Right? It's a custom game. So what works for one person might not work for the next person. We can copy and paste some things and some basic concepts and some scientific concepts across the board, but for the most part, when we start to get granular and detailed about nutrition and fitness and workouts, it's what works for you. So my biggest advice or takeaway from anything that I could put out there is try things, right? And try running for a month. And if you don't like it, then don't do it. Try strength training for 6 weeks and see if your fat loss drops or whatever. And if you don't enjoy it or you don't see the results you thought or whatever you try, then try something else. You know what I'm saying? Like, kind of use your body as the experiment. And if something clicks and works, then there's your proof.
So many people are waiting to be told exactly how to feel and exactly what to do. And this is where I have big qualms with the way public school kind of indoctrinates us to be told, sit, be quiet, be told what to do and how to think.
Yes.
We forget to lean on the intuition that the body naturally provides for us. So
no bigger piece of evidence of that than what happened during COVID. It was like, we say jump and everyone just says how high. And I was blown away. Same. But like there was a small percentage of us that were just like, what? You want us to do what? Like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
The logic went out the window, but that's a whole separate argument. But I think the same kind of, you're right, that the same kind of thing happens in fitness and nutrition too. And it's like, this is how you do it. You should do this, do this. It's like, well, there's other ways to do things,
So what about you? I mean, we went out and we had lunch, and you had chicken lettuce wraps, right? I had some seared ahi.
Yeah, I think you beat me on the clean eating today. But I typically try to eat not that much, because I feel like if I keep my body and brain kind of lean, I feel the most productive. I feel like I've got the most energy when I'm slightly
fasted.
Yeah, I try and keep protein up, and I try and hit around 150, 200 grams a day in protein. But here's the kind of upside and downside of that now is we've got more access to quick protein than we've ever had. We can go into a 7-Eleven and grab a protein bar, but the ingredients aren't that clean.
Yeah, that's
so
not
it's
a
like,
good idea.
so then
don't
it's
recommend that.
right. So then then it becomes the battle of like, do I hit my macros or do I like pay attention to the
A friend
macros?
of mine asked me, like, Miesha, what protein bars do you recommend? And I'm not saying, I haven't tried them all. I'm not saying that they're all bad. I'm not saying to not eat protein bars. But if you were asking me to make a recommendation, I would say a meat stick. Eat a meat stick.
Just a grass-fed meat stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, any meat stick is going to be better for you. I try to avoid ones with, the caramel color, the bright red ones, I wouldn't do that. And, try to get cleaner versions if you can. But regardless, even if you get like the worst meat stick,
Yeah.
I believe it's still better for you
Than a protein.
than a protein bar.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for those Barbells ones. Those things are like
I don't know if I've
Snickers
had that one.
bars.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying
Man.
I will never
And I'm
do
like,
that.
I'm getting my 20 grams
My
of protein.
daughter loves I know, it's the justification, right?
They need to send me some free ones after that now. But I think like if you are not 100% dialed in on the macros, or even the macros, like if you're struggling to get in quality, healthy ingredients, organic, grass-fed meats, all that kind of stuff, and it becomes expensive or lifestyle or time, whatever, then supplementation is like your backup, right? If you're consistently supplementing, then you can afford to fast here and there, or you can afford to throw in the odd thing now and again that might not hit your macros. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because it's hard. When I aim for 140 grams of protein every day, that's really difficult to do if I was eating something that was even slightly processed, like bread or crackers. Like I have to pretty much go with like sweet potatoes, things that are not as calorically dense when it comes to carbs, because there's a good amount of calories that goes into 140 grams of protein. So like if I'm trying to eat that much protein, but I'm eating it in a smoothie, or I'm even like, I'm not even a big fan of smoothies, to be honest. If I'm doing that and I'm also eating, this meat sandwiched between grilled cheese and buttered bread, my calories are going to be so high, and I won't have met the macros.
Right.
And then nutritionally, our food is so
Poor.
stripped.
Yeah.
They don't replenish in this conventional farming. They don't put like compost and nutrients back in the soil. They just kind of have the plant grow with like Miracle Grow and stuff, which is like, it gives it what it needs to look good, but the actual nutritional density is missing.
It's crazy. I was in Italy a couple of years ago, and it's like you eat a tomato in Tuscany, you're like, whoa, it's really orange, and it tastes like tomato. Like the flavor is just like phenomenal, right? Or a strawberry, whatever it was. I just remember thinking like, how are they getting this much flavor? And they're like, oh, this is what it's supposed to taste like because it just came from that field over there. But it's just, I think America's just done an amazing job at, building this huge empire over the last few decades of like, we can have whatever we want whenever we want, but now we're paying a big price for that.
Yeah.
And it's tough too, because it's 320 million people across this massive landmass, and every state's different. So it does, the physical setup of it doesn't lend itself to healthy living. But I think at the same time, there's pockets. It's still the best place to be, I think, because we've got these like pockets of knowledge and cities, and LA is a great example. We've got these organic grocery shops and like grass-fed meats in restaurants and stuff, and it's
You also pay an arm and a leg.
so yeah,
to
well,
live there
that's
and eat there.
that's we are, but we're on top of
Nobody
it.
can afford to buy there.
But we're on top of it,
Yeah,
we're
absolutely.
doing it, and a lot of
Yeah.
other countries aren't, So
Oh yeah.
I'm definitely not going to take that
I
for
wonder where
granted.
it is. It's somewhere in like Sweden or something like that they get like a tax break if they have chickens. I'm like, that's brilliant. Why can't we do that here? Oh, because there's too much money and people being sick. I digress.
Yeah, America's a business. It always has
Okay,
been.
supplement wise, we both use Live on Labs. I wanted to
Oh, I
talk
love
about
that company. Yeah, they're
because
great.
I knew that was something that we had in common, and I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's really cool. I was
Yeah.
like, I took the that's my favorite one, is the glutathione.
Yeah,
The first time that I took that, which by the way, if you're listening, it's like a little packet you rip open. It's got like a kind of like I don't want to say gel.
it's kind of gel. It's
kinda
a
gel.
yeah,
A little bit
and I
like a
think
gel.
supplements in general are going more that way.
But it's not
less
sweet,
pills.
which I like.
Yep.
Actually, the glutathione's kind of bitter. It's one of
really
the ones that they say.
sulfurish.
Yeah, but I don't care at all. Like I just raw dog it. I just straight up. I don't put it in juice. I'm not a weenie.
Same. It's like straight in.
However, yeah, just
Yeah,
straight
yeah,
down the
yeah.
hatch. But
But yeah, I've been doing glutathione, and for anyone who doesn't know what that is, it's considered like the master antioxidant, super powerful antioxidants, protects your cells, and it supports the detox pathways. So great before a sauna, because a sauna is going to kick in all your detox, systems. So the glutathione's only going to boost that. So I've been doing that more recently, doing glutathione before and after a sauna.
Oh, you take one before and one after?
Either or.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So
Either before
yeah,
or
if
after.
I'm like, I'm going to do a sauna right now, I'll have a packet of glutathione.
The first time
after.
I had the glutathione, I got a little bit of euphoria. I don't know how to explain it. I haven't really experienced that, I would say, since, but it was like more on an empty stomach, and I took it, and I was like, wow.
I wonder if that was just
feel
like a mini
something.
detox effect kind of kicking in.
Maybe
and you're
it
like,
was.
"Whoa, what's going on
I don't
here?"
know, because I hadn't taken it before, but I was like, oh, I'm a fan. I like the way that it made me feel.
Yeah.
And I know that sometimes when you get more used to something, just like with anything, you don't necessarily get that same response. You know, like let's say you have a glass of wine, then you get a little buzz. And it's like, if you have a glass of wine every day, you're not going to have that buzz, right? But it was like that first experience, and it just made me feel like this is definitely doing something.
Yeah.
I don't need a euphoria or a buzz every time that I take something to want to take it. But it was a unique experience, and I was like, this is definitely like I feel something going on.
Yeah.
What felt like my brain and my cognition and my
Wow.
mood.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting.
I've felt like that with a couple of like beta alanine. Did you ever take that in training camps?
That one makes you
the
like
tingly
the tingling
sensation you get, and then that kind of just disappears after a while. The more you take that,
Take it. I haven't taken it long enough to know that.
yeah. But with Live On Labs, like the good thing that they did with supplements, which it's happening more and more now, is it's what's called liposomal. So I think it's developed in the 60s as a way to get the cancer treatment drugs to the cells. So they took the drugs that they were administering early cancer treatments and put it in what's called a liposome, which is basically like kind of like a fat,
capsule?
like a kind of fatty.
Yeah, they surround it with like fat, basically.
Right.
Yeah, like for
So
lack
then-
of better, since
yeah.
we're not PhDs in this.
Yeah, totally. So then that's gonna, get through the digestive tract, get to where it needs to get
Yeah,
to, which
'cause-
is the cells, right?
Sometimes what you take gets destroyed in your gut because of the
Right,
acids
right.
and stuff.
Yeah.
So this is like helping it to get
Exactly.
past that point.
Yeah. So I think they were one of the first companies to do that, and I'm seeing it more and more now in nutrition. So it's just good, like when you take, vitamin C or whatever, magnesium, B vitamins for energy. Like those are all staples for me first thing in the morning. Like just cover all bases for energy. Magnesium is responsible for pretty much everything in our body, so that's got to go in. And then it's I take the 3-in-8 kind in the morning, so it elevates magnesium levels in the brain. So if you're a high performance person or you've got a lot of tasks going on and you need to be mentally on it,
Yeah.
that's a great one to throw into the mix. And then just vitamin C for
I've
immunity.
always thought of magnesium as like something before bed.
Yeah, well, the 3-in-8 is kind of the opposite, I think.
Okay.
Kind of, for me anyway, it just kind of gets my brain sharpened up for the day. You can take it at night too. I don't think it's going to,
Yeah.
it's not going to like boost energy or anything. But for at night, I do like a magnesium blend. It's like citrate, malate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that helps kind of relax the muscles and wind things down. But yeah, magnesium, I think, is the number one deficiency in America too. So yeah.
Dang.
If you're getting issues, just start throwing magnesium
Add
into
it to
the
the
mix
list. I know
every day.
vitamin D is up there, and people are deficient in everything and wonder why we feel like crap.
Yeah. It makes sense. I mean, if people are just wake up, get in the car, drive to the office, sit in the office all day, drive home or wherever they're going after work, pick the kids up, whatever. It's like you've not had any chance to get out in the sun. So and you're doing that 5 days a week for a couple of decades,
Oh, I try to be mindful as I can. And I'm, obviously we're spending them, a good hour and a half here while the sun is out. Obviously it's cooking in Vegas, but, we were at was it Makers and Finders? So
Yeah.
We had coffee earlier, and I was like, I'm gonna stand in the sun while we wait, like intentionally, because I was like, I knew we were gonna sit here. I was like, why stand in the shade? I mean,
That's so refreshing to hear that. When you said that, I was like, yes, go for it. Because so many other people are just like, oh, gotta get out of the sun. And I'm like, no, you're not gonna fry and like, you're not gonna get skin cancer in 5 minutes. It's actually gonna do the opposite. It's gonna switch all your immune system. Is gonna activate vitamin D production. It's a nutrient. If you use it correctly and in the right doses and the right amount. You
Right.
know?
Yeah, you don't want to burn, but I mean, my kids are so dark too. My kids are like, people are like, oh, they're so dark. And I'm like, well, we're out in the sun all the time. And they don't burn because the moment the sun starts coming out in the spring, it's like this slow adjustment. They come out and the sun, sun gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and their skin gets stronger and stronger, and we
get used
just
to it.
adapt to it.
Exactly.
Yeah, we barely use sunscreen, but when we do, I just put a little here, and I make my own sunscreen now. That's
nice.
how crunchy I am.
What do you put in it?
It's just beef tallow, coconut oil, beeswax, and non-nano zinc oxide.
Amazing.
And then sometimes, like if I want like essential oil for smell or something,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
do that. But
Perfect. Love that.
it's beautiful, and the beeswax helps with the water resistance. So it'll actually, if you put like a little on your hand to like test it, put water, the droplets roll off, or they stay, they don't soak into your skin at all, because that wax kind of helps it like adhere to the skin, and it's actually a great moisturizer. Just like sometimes I just like it for like face cream at night.
Yeah.
Just like it just feels good.
Yeah, yeah.
It stays on your
See a
skin
difference,
nicely, but it's not greasy, doesn't cause acne. The beef tallow is just, it's beautiful.
I've got like a beard butter that's beef tallow too, just kind of most days, just like right here. Yeah, it's good. The other thing that kills me with going back to the sun thing, like as soon as it's bright out, like people instantly like sunglasses on or hat on or whatever, and it's like cover.
Anymore.
Well, what you're doing is like you're switching off your body's natural mechanisms to deal with the sun. So if you're putting your sunglasses on and your hat on or whatever, and then the next thing you know, your arms are toast, it's like, well yeah, you've told your brain there's no sun coming in.
Right.
So it hasn't developed the ability to realize I need to,
Produce.
not burn right now.
Yeah, exactly. Produce melanin for your skin
Exactly.
and whatnot. Yeah, that gets a bit confusing. I don't wear sunglasses anymore unless I was like maybe out on the water and it's just way too bright. Then
You just want to look cool.
Yeah. So now I have to deal with these crease lines, that I've got here. I'm always like in the sun.
But you get used to it. If it's like if you get used to wearing the sunglasses when it's bright, you'll be like this, right?
Oh.
But if you don't, I mean, like
it's adaptation. The
thousands of
human
years
body
ago,
was meant to
we
be
weren't wearing
evolved.
sunglasses.
No.
People probably weren't going around like this.
No.
Right?
They were just adapted.
Yeah.
They would get But I could go ad nauseum. Don't get me started on this stuff, because I get so passionate about it. But basically, I think we're aligned in the fact that just don't avoid things. Like the avoidance strategy is not the right way to do life, in my opinion, in anything that you're doing.
Yeah, yeah. And just on the supplement thing, if you are like supplementing with antioxidants, probiotics, covering your bases with your multivitamins and minerals, right? You can afford to throw in your little treats now and again. You can afford to have like, whatever it is you like, whether it's a glass of tequila or, pizza, whatever. Your body's going to be in a better position to handle that because it's got the support system behind it. Whereas if it's not, then those things are going to start doing a little bit more damage than they should, or they're going to do the damage because you haven't got the antioxidants or the nutrients in the body to deal with.
Yeah. Think of it like a prehab.
Whatever.
That's what we call it now.
Exactly. Yeah.
it's
A good way to think of it.
When we get an injury, we obviously have rehabilitation, but what we try to do as professional athletes, which I would love more people to just understand, is the prehab, but it's a mindset. It's like, I am going to try to take care of my body so that I don't have to get injured and then rehab my body.
100%. Yeah.
So prehab is like move every day.
Yeah.
Take your if you need to supplement or whatnot, and then do those things, or get out in the sun, sleep well, sets your circadian rhythm with morning light.
Yep.
And otherwise then you can have some fun and some leeway without gaining weight and feeling bad and struggling mentally.
I'm just scared shitless of hospitals and doctors. So like I'm doing everything that I can to never have to go to those places.
Yeah.
That's like the biggest thing. And I think a lot of people kind of just aren't scared of going to the doctor and they like just rely on them for everything. So then they don't do the prehab.
You know how much money I save on not having medical insurance?
Oh, I can imagine.
A lot of people probably like think, oh, that's ridiculous. Like, how would you not? My whole family, we don't have it.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, it's a gamble, because of course, if somebody got seriously injured, we have to come out of pocket for that.
Yeah, yeah.
However, the places that they want to send me for medical advice are not the places that I'm going to go and believe what they're telling me for the most part, because it's just by design meant to put you on medication. The doctors aren't really taught to say, oh, well, let's find the root cause. It's
There's
like,
no
oh,
money
you
in it.
have this symptom.
Yeah.
Let's put you on this medication, which stops the symptom. Therefore, now it doesn't seem you have a problem.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I just don't agree with the whole process. So I'm like, well, if I'm
Same.
not going to use that, I'm not going to go see these kinds of, I pay out of pocket for my doctors,
Right.
but I get good doctors and I'm still ultimately saving money. And I'm like, well, if I live a healthy lifestyle, I know how to supplement, I know how to move, I know how to sleep right, I
Yep.
know how to be healthy, then I'd rather take that money instead of just like handing it over every month and waiting for something bad to happen to where I'm going to use it. I'm just
Exactly.
going to let it collect interest or invest it in something where I'm going to make more money. And then I'll come out of pocket if I break my leg or something happens.
Yeah,
or,
yeah. I think like acute treatments, it's unbelievable, right? Like the fact we can fix a broken leg and we can
yeah,
cure
of course.
cancer or whatever, but it's just like so far behind on like lifestyle and dealing with chronic issues. Like,
Yeah.
but it's getting there. I think it's definitely improving. And just a quick recent personal example on that. Pec tear from a bench press cut like 8 weeks ago, and I felt it out for a couple of days, first 2-3 days while it was really raw, and like it might have been like, is it ripped off the bone or is it like a grade 3 tear? I didn't know, but it's pretty bad shape. Peptides kept the mobility going, upped protein and collagen and hydration and all of these protocols, kept the mobility, chipping away at the mobility. Just a refusal to go to a doctor to get on this thing. Was doing physical therapy with somebody to kind of chip away at the areas around it a little bit. But same thing, I knew if I go to a doctor, I'm going to get, here's some pain relief. I'm going to put it in, I'm going to put it in a sling for you so you can't like aggravate it or move it, and let's get an MRI on it, right? And I have like claustrophobia pretty bad, so I'm like, there's no way I'm getting an MRI machine unless it's like one of those open ones. But yeah, I just knew I was going to get. And I was just like, I can probably deal with this better on my own, right? Yeah. And it just sucks that like the vast majority of people wouldn't know what to do with that and would go straight to the doctor.
Yeah.
And I'd just encourage people, like, if something does go wrong or you have an injury or don't feel like, you've got access to more information now on your own than you've ever had, right?
Yeah.
So do
what was
that
it,
work.
BP 157?
Yeah, it's the BPC 157.
I can't use that because I'm still in the UFC. So
oh, it's still on the ban list?
Yeah, it's on the ban list. But yeah, newly added to the ban list, I would say, within the last year, so I can't use it. But you were mentioning that
that stuff's a miracle, by the way.
Because I had Ben Greenfield on the podcast, and you've been on his podcast, and back when you were doing a podcast, vice versa. So anyways, but you said, real quick, because we're coming to the end, we're a little over time here, but you had a bad elbow injury and you went up there and he had this workout plan for you, right? Throwing like out in the woods. What was it like throwing?
Yeah, this was amazing. So I've followed him for years, and we was like, finally, he's like, oh, we do the podcast up at the house. We flew up to Spokane, Washington, middle of nowhere. It's all green. He's like, as soon as you guys get here, we're going to do a workout in the woods, right? The day before, I hyperextended my elbow on the heavy bag boxing, and it was a pretty bad injury. It was like, couldn't move it. I was like, this is the worst hyperextension I've ever had. So my left arm was basically just inoperable. Went up there and he's like, we've got this great workout plan. We're going to be throwing like spears into, wooden dartboards and throwing rocks around and stuff. And I was like, I
real
can't.
Caveman stuff.
Yeah, total like old school, caveman style workout. And I was like, I'll just do like the lower body stuff if I can or whatever. He's like, yeah, no problem. He's like, when we get back to the house, I'll fix that for you. And I'm like, all right, whatever. And so I kind of struggled through this workout doing just the lower body stuff in the middle of the woods. We get back to the house. He's like, all right, come here. So, and this was before like peptides were as popular as they are now. Maybe 2016 or 17. It was a few years ago. And he's like, let me inject some peptide in there. And I was just like, I just completely trusted him, right? I was like, I follow this guy for years. I know he knows what he's doing. I'm just going to go for it and see what happens. So he did like a local injection right here on the skin, right where the elbow is.
Yeah.
And then we ended up, having dinner and hanging out for the rest of the night. Woke up the next morning and I was just like, just putting my t-shirt on, like cleaning my teeth. I was like, my arm's just working. And it just completely speed healed it. Like not even a hint of pain or like, it was like brand new arm. I was just blown away by it.
BP 157 is really good for your digestion too, or digestive health.
Yeah. And they're even talking about it as being able to speed heal bone now too. There's things coming out about bone. So yeah, muscles, joints, tendons, ligaments, everything, and possibly even bone. That stuff's like.
Well, when I retire.
really powerful. Yeah. Yeah, don't throw that in right now.
I know, but when I retire,
yeah.
Oh, it's a shame we can't use it.
It'll be interesting to see though if they eventually okay it for
Yeah.
athletes. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know if that would technically, is it performance enhancing? I guess, I don't think so, but
Yeah, I just see it as a recovery tool. And some people
Yeah.
are taking it on the regular, but I've only ever took it when I've had an injury or a strain or something's
Yeah.
like pretty off. I'll throw that in and I'm bouncing back really quick.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's
if
good
they
stuff.
say don't eat cornflakes, that's what we've got to do. So
Yeah.
if it makes sense or it doesn't.
Yeah.
Anyways, Glenn, what a fun conversation. I feel like we went 1,000,001 different directions and we did pretty good with the time that we had, but that was really fun.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. Really appreciate it. Great catching up and chatting to you. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Next time it'll be a workout.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay.